cover Surah al Ikhlas in Arabic and Hebrew. I wanted to get a feel for how common words may exist between the two languages, and Surah al Ikhlas is a particularly short surah of the Quran to do that with. So we'll be reading from the Quran, Hafs and Asim, and the Darussalam Jerusalem translation in Hebrew, as well as the Sahih International translation in English. So it's Surah al Ikhlas, as you can see in the Arabic. In the Hebrew, it's translated letter for letter as a proper noun, which means sincerity. Interestingly here, they've also translated the definite article al as alif lamid instead of using the Hebrew definite article. And we'll begin with the Basmallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And in the Hebrew, Beshem Allah, Hawachman Hawachim, which means in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. So we'll begin with the first particle. The ba and the bet are being used for in. Ism in Arabic and Shem in Hebrew mean the same thing, name. Then we have Lafz Jalala. The word Allah is translated into Hebrew as a proper noun. And we'll notice the definite article that I was mentioning earlier here. In Hebrew, it's the ha, and in Arabic, it's the alif lam, which can be used to denote the, for instance. And then in the names of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim. And here we notice in the Hebrew translation that the ha becomes a kha. And that's an important thing to pick up on, because we'll often find that there is cognate words where exactly this is taking place. Similar to at the beginning of this, the Basmallah, the sin becoming a sheen in its cognate in Hebrew. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. And in the Hebrew, Amor Hu Allah Echad, which translates to say, He is Allah, who is one. And let's break it down. So we'll start with the imperative Qul in the Arabic, which basically means to say. And here the Hebrew Amor, that's basically doing the same function, is not cognate and doesn't correspond very well. Then we have the pronoun hu, and that is going to be the same in Hebrew, in fact, and it's being used to refer to he or it. And then we have the word ahad, and in Hebrew, echad. But here you can see it's very close. It's the alif and the alif, the ha and the kha, and the dal and the dalet, to mean one. Allahu Samad. And in the Hebrew, Allahu Hanitzqi, meaning Allah, the eternal refuge. As-Samad, and in Hebrew it doesn't look like there is a directly corresponding word, so they're using a word for eternal. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. And in the Hebrew, lo khulid ve lo nulad. And again, let's break it down. So we have lam here in the Arabic versus lo, which is closer to the Arabic la in the Hebrew. And this is effectively used as a negative particle here. And we have yalid versus the Hebrew hulid, Again, very, very similar words for begetting. And then we have a particle of conjunction here, the harfu atf, the letter waw, and a similarly functioning letter in the Hebrew language, the vav. And lastly, we have the word yulad, which means he is born, and in Hebrew, very close, nulat. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. And in the Hebrew, velo haya echad shesho velo. Let's break it down. We have walam, so we've been over these particular phrases already, but the va is again used as a conjunction to the previous sentence, and the lam is a negation. Likewise, in the Hebrew, velo, velo, the ve is a conjunction, and lo is the negation. Then we have yakun and haya, doing something similar to is in English. Then the lahu versus the lo, functioning similarly, referring to the to him, basically. More aptly, though, we would say the who, that's the attached pronoun, versus lo. And then we have kufuan and sheshove, which is basically words of measurement, like they're trying to equate something, value something. And then we have ahad or echad, which we've been over before, but here it's being used as any instead of one. So words can be used differently depending on context. And then finally, here you can actually see the full text of the surah in Arabic next to its translation in Hebrew. But my particular focus was on the specific words that we're finding here. So you'll see here in the blue proper nouns. So in these cases, the translators decided to basically almost translate the words word for word, essentially, but basically as proper nouns, or something along those lines. And then in the red, we have corresponding terms and particles, demonstrating, in fact, how close together these sister languages are. And here I've basically listed the words that we've been over. So firstly, we have the ba and the bet. The Hebrew bet and vet are the same word when they don't have diacritical marks. They don't have the dagesh in the middle to make it easier to recognize that it's a ba, but you know it's a ba. Here it's being used for in. We have ism and shem, which means name. We have al and ha, which are definite particles, usually reflected as the. We have hu and who, which are used for he or it in both languages. We have ahad and ikhad, which mean one. We have lam and la, which are being used for negation. And in Arabic, you also have the lam alif of negation, as we've mentioned, but there are different words of negation that are used for different contexts or for different purposes that you can get into if you were to study balagha. Then we have yalid and hulid, which are very close together, basically indicating giving birth, the action of giving birth. And then we have yulad and nulad, which again very close together, indicating the being born. And lastly, we have the waw and the vav of conjunction, which seem to be functioning very similarly, at least in the surah and its translation that we looked at here. And so that's everything from me.
Thanks for watching. Assalamu alaikum.